So first of all, for our recipe, you're going to need 2 cups of the all-purpose white glue. I recommend, honestly, this LePage brand, the multi-purpose white glue. I have tried other different brands, such as these Elmer's multi-purpose, and I've also tried the Duradex multi-purpose brand, but the Duradex was awful, and I find honestly that this one is definitely the best option. So for our recipe, we're going to start with 2 cups, which I actually used. I don't actually use the regular measuring cup. I use the 250 ml mason jar. 2 cups of glue and 2 cups of regular cornstarch of whatever brand. So next up, I'm gonna use just baby oil, and I'm gonna put a full. I just use a regular spoon, nothing fancy. So a full spoon of baby oil. And using the same spoon, I'm gonna use lemon or lime juice, whichever one you have at home. I don't do the full spoon though, just about this much, just half of it in it. And using the same mason jar that we used for the glue and the clay, the glue and the cornstarch, I'm gonna put about 1/3 of a cup of water, maybe not even that much, because I like it to be a little bit harder, so sometimes I don't put as much water. We are going to mix it and try to get rid of as much of the lumps as you can. And until it goes into a very creamy, nice dough. So that's the texture that you want. You don't have to worry about too much if there's tiny little lumps of cornstarch, because once you cook this, it's a little bit easier to get rid of the lumps when you mix, and also when you're going to knead the dough, is you can get rid of whatever is left. But that's what you want, just like a creamy texture. I'm gonna cook this in the microwave now on the high setting. For the recipe says 3 minutes, 1 minute at a time, but in my microwave I usually have to cook for about 3 rounds of 1 minute each, and then another 30 seconds, and then sometimes I do another 10 seconds. So in total, I usually cook it for about 3 minutes and 40 seconds. And again, it's 1 minute at a time on the high setting. Okay, so this is ready to go in the microwave now. I'm just gonna find another little spoon here. And clean this up as best as I can. And that's probably it. And I'm gonna cook it in the microwave and after the first minute, you will see it's still kind of pretty much the same. So just mix it, making sure you pull out of the sides to mix it. And oh, by the way, I'll suggest you using either a glass bowl or porcelain, or I don't know. This is one of my Corel bowls. It just works better. Don't try to use it on plastic. It just doesn't really turn out very well. So then I'm gonna put it again for another minute on the high setting. After the second time around in the microwave, you start to form a little bit of a crust, and you can see that the dough is starting to lump up a little bit. So again, we just mix it, pull out from the bottom and the sides. And it's gonna go back in the microwave for the third round of 1 minute. So there we go. This is after the third round of the microwave. So you see that is pretty much lumped up, but still very creamy. So I'm gonna cook it again. Just mix it all up and pull cream up. But this time I am going to put it for, I'm just gonna do 40 seconds and see how it goes. That was after the 40 seconds, and that's pretty much what you want. The lump completely solid with this little creamy texture on the outside, but that's what you want. So now I'm just gonna break a little bit and make a few holes, and that will speed up the cooling down process. Before we can work this up, open more, go, and I'm gonna cover this with saran wrap, and I'll come back probably about 15 minutes. Should be enough to where's my saran wrap? Another 15 minutes should be enough to work this up. So I'm gonna put it on the top and actually just push it down a little bit to get some air out, because let's not forget this is called the Brazilian cold porcelain, and actually dries on the air, so you can't have too much air in there. So I'll come back 15 minutes. So 15 minutes after it finished, finished cooking. So I'm gonna start working up on the dough. It's gonna start pulling it out like that. I'm gonna use a little tiny bit of the baby oil on my hands just to stop too much of the thickness, but I must say it is going to be very sticky. And this is quite normal. I'm just gonna move the bowl so you can actually see what I'm doing. And you also might, sometimes it also helps to wash your hands in between lumps that you grab out of the bowl. And as you knead the dough, it eventually starts peeling off your hands. You also use the spoon to scrape some of the goo out and put it back on the lump to be worked again. There we go. See? I did wash my hands once. As I was kneading, it was getting pretty sticky and I find it a little hard, so This one is ready, so I'm going to use just a little piece of saran wrap. Wrap it up and grab another lump to work on. So that's the last little bit of the clay to work it up. Still a little bit sticky, so I'm gonna stop now and wash my hands and then mix it all up and we're done. So get the big lump and just mix it all in. And work it on it like bread dough. A little baby oil, maybe stop sticky so much in here. And after I'm done here, we're going to put it in a Ziploc bag and let it sit overnight. And it's still a little warm, so it's going to sweat a little bit. In the morning, I will maybe wipe up a little bit with paper towel and change the bag, because you do not want moisture or too much moisture in the bag. That would make the clay rot if there is moisture or too much moisture. See this one here? I've made it earlier. It's for my daughter's kindergarten class. We are going to be making this little guy here, Christmas ornaments to hang out in the Christmas tree. Cute little guy. We're going to be making it in her class tomorrow, so I need lots. So I actually made 2 recipes. Yeah, this is ready. And as I said, this is actually a very good little project and very affordable. I really like playing with clay, and so do the kids. We've made lots of things. We've also worked with this one, which is the Super Sculpey polymer clay, but this is very expensive. This one is one color only. This is like beige or kind of a skin color. You cannot change too much of the colors, and this box only is £1 and costs about $26. And with this one here, and this one has to be baked. With this one here that dries on the air, I have actually quite a bit over £1, and I've made 2 of those recipes. And I think for 2 of these lumps, it probably cost me about $15. So this is ready. And now it's going in a Ziploc bag just to rest it overnight. And in the morning, I am going to dye this guy. I don't use anything fancy. The one I use most of the time is this Deco Art. Just get it at the cheap dollar store paint. And sometimes when I want to go a little fancier for a fancier project, I actually use a lot of this Martha Stewart Crafts. So this one is actually very good, and it doesn't have a very strong smell. Then you just use a little bits of the paint and work it up in a dough like you're kneading the bread again, and to color it. So there you have it. Have fun.